All right, folks. Welcome back to another edition of Young Justice Review, episode 10 Targets. I'm here with Rich. Rich, what's going on, man?
Nothing much. What's going on, brother? Just here review some Young Justice.
Yeah, man. So, to give you the skinny on this episode, it's, I think, a little mixture between. It's mostly a Roy episode, and it kind of gives you a little bit of the characters that he'll kind of be playing with in this episode. It's basically so Lex Luthor is this mediator between North and South Malaysia, kind of very similar to North and South Korea in this case, or any two warring countries, if you will. Palestine and Israel is another good example of what this could be, though they are portrayed as Asians in this. And really, the episode is kind of Lex Luthor trying to get into the brain of Roy. They also give us something about a mole in the episode, which we'll talk a little bit further. There's a mole potentially within our heroes, within Young Justice. So that's now been planted in. And really, you get to see a little budding relationship between Cheshire and Roy. She likes him a lot. And there's a small subplot of Miss Martian, Megan, and Connor going to school. It's their first day of school. We don't get Artemis, we don't get Robin, and we don't get Kid Flash in this episode. So there's a lot of expectation and a lot of hype around kind of Roy, I guess, if you will. Solid episode. I really liked overall how it looked. We find out that Ra's al Ghul and Lex Luthor, of course, Lex Luthor, the snake in the grass, we find out that they're part of the light too. So, now this thing is unveiling. Rich, tell me what you think about episode 10 Targets or Target.
Well, I really like this episode. I like the whole Aqualad Roy team up, Red Arrow team up. We got a yeah, it was great. We got to like was it the debut? Did he was he Red Arrow before? Like, did he call himself Red Arrow before,
Yeah,
or is this the
a
first
couple
episode where he's called Red Arrow?
a couple episodes ago they called him Speedy and he's like, "My name is Red Arrow and I'm brooding."
Hmm.
So he's Red
Okay,
Arrow.
yeah, okay, yeah. I thought the episode was really good. It was nice to see those two. You could tell, like, you got a friendship between Robin and Kid Flash, and you could tell there's some kind of friendship. Like, I guess because they're older between Roy and Calder,
I think so. They look
and
more
it's nice to
closer in
see.
age.
Yeah, it's nice, and it's also nice. Yeah, it's nice to see that Roy respects the team. Like, it shows he has respect for Calder, since I want the last scene. Aqualad says to him, "You could have called Green Arrow or the Justice League, but you chose your first instinct was to call the cave." And Red Arrow admits that he has respect for them. We also meet Sportsmaster. No, we see him? We saw him in another episode, right?
We've seen him before when they were fighting
Right.
Bane, but now it's kind of just him, and it gets a little interesting because him and Cheshire have some sort of vibe, and he calls her little girl. That's very endearing. That's very confusing as well because if you think about it,
Yeah.
now like there's a link. So Sportsmaster has a link with Cheshire. They're unveiling Artemis. This is her slow burn.
What do you think? Sportsmaster is Chester's father, or do you think it was her ex-lover?
He's got something. He's got something with her. They seem to be very well connected. They probably trained before this or something like that. The way in which they're synchronized sometimes.
Yeah, in this episode, we also find that there's a mole on the team.
I didn't see that coming, but now we're 10 episodes in. I think there's 26 in the season. It's coming. Something's coming, and it looks like it's this mole, and now the light is being uncovered too. So it's getting intense.
Yeah. Who do you think the mole is? I think it's either Artemis, since she's kind of sketchy, or I think maybe Superboy could have something implanted in him. I doubt it's Aqualad or Robin or Kid Flash or Red Arrow. It could be Megan, but I feel like Megan is too naive. I mean, she's from Mars. How would she be a mole?
You bring up interesting points. I can't really put my. I mean, from what they're trying to tell us, Artemis seems to be the clear winner as of this moment because of how sketchy. I like that word. Very, very sketchy. Sketch artist. The slow burn.
Yeah, the only problem I have with that is Batman is the greatest detective, and Green Arrow is kind of, like I said, an amateur detective. They are both vouching for her.
Batman knows.
So
Batman knows. I think by now, Batman definitely knows what's going on.
yeah, but the thing is, like, would he let them all on the team, or is he playing 4D chess? And he's like, yeah,
Yeah.
let them all go on the team. Like, I'll just make them all think that she's not, that we don't know.
A lot of this episode is like, I don't know if this may sound weird, but I'll explain. It's about play. People playing each other, people playing each other against each other. Because as soon as you get Lex Luthor in an episode, you have to understand that there's smoke screen going on, smoke and mirrors. There's something else going on in the deep end. And now that he's connected to the light, that makes a buttload of sense. So hold on to your butts, folks. This one is it's gonna unravel, and now we're starting to see things sort of layered. I'm not surprised that they brought the light out, if that makes any sense, and funny because you're 10 episodes in, and this series is all about kind of unveiling things to you. So now that we got this mole thing going on, we got Ra's al Ghul, we got Lex Luthor and that snake in the grass trying to like weasel his way into anything and everything that he can do. He's got a robot as like an assistant that kills the ninja assassin guy. They just sacrificed the dude for to save face. That's nuts.
Well, the show reminds me a lot of like a Shakespeare play in terms of the how deep and stuff it is, but very less confusing than a Shakespeare play. Of course, I'm talking about the language, or like a Greek tragedy or something.
Sure.
It's great storytelling.
I feel you.
And Greg Wiseman, who does this, who's like the showrunner, he did Gargoyles and he had a lot of Shakespeare-esque things in that show. So you can tell.
Rich, overall, how would you rate this episode? And why?
Yeah, I'll give it an 8.5 out of 10. Oh, also, wait, quick. Superboy gets the name.
He does. He gets Kent.
Connor Kent. You wouldn't call Connor before.
Okay, here's how I know it's not Megan, because she's naive to think when I think it's Martian Manhunter. He says you should have Kent as your last name. We all know, and he knows that he's talking about Superman, but she thinks it's for Kent Nelson, Dr. Fate. So she's so naive that
who knows? Superboy?
No. Megan is very steadfast, and when she says, "Oh, Kent, like Kent Nelson, Dr. Fate," that's how I know she's not the mole because she's too naive.
She's too naive. She could be playing dumb. I mean, she's a telepath.
You also bring up a very good point too. What's the best way to be a mole?
Yeah, the thing is
to be a character that plays to the character.
Yeah, and we also get like a lot of other characters in the show that are like they're referencing other heroes, like the teenagers they meet, but they're all just like regular teenagers. Even the teacher, he's something in the comic. I believe this teacher is. Sorry to make this long, folks. But remember in the episode of Justice League, there's like in the first season, I believe, Batman and Superman were only like in the beginning, but the rest of the league went to like this comic book world, and it really turned out to be like a world in some alternate universe that the kid made. Like they were all kind of like a weird version of the Justice League. It was like 1950s, 60s, and it turned out that the villain was their kid, like this kid that was friends with the Justice Guild. I think they were called.
Oh, I do remember this episode.
I think that character in the comics is that teacher, but he's not like crazy like that. I think it's a twist in the show. I believe that's the same character. Snapper Carr is his name.
Oh, fun!
And he's just like in the comics, I believe, like the early like 60s. I think he was like a friend of the Justice League, or Justice Society, maybe it was.
Nice.
Well, this show just throws everything at you. It just throws so many references, so many Easter eggs.
Right. I'd give this episode, honestly, really, this was a fantastic episode. 9.5, in my opinion, and here's why. I enjoy the Atlantean stuff with Aqualad. It's cool, you know, you get to touch on the side of him that's super strong, but also the sensitive part of who Aqualad is. This is probably the Aqualad I prefer. Leader, strong, because he's super great in this episode. And I like Roy as a character in this show, the Red Arrow character. Very cool. And I think there's a lot of strength in this episode. And as much as I like the Atlantean stuff, the colors are fantastic and the way they pop on screen is amazing. It's just this episode was a lot more gritty, the whole ninja thing and everything kind of surrounding all of this. You really have to like there's a lot of strength in this episode. So that's why I would give it a 9.5. Even though we didn't get Kid Flash once or Robin or Artemis in this episode. But that's okay.
Yes, I agree.
All right, folks, that's a wrap for episode 10, Targets or Target. Stay tuned. Next up is episode 11. Peace.
Peace.